Hello everyone, welcome back to Old School AOT. We're going to have a game of Armycore playing Oranos against Magyar playing Loki. So I am quite excited to see what this game holds. Two really great players who had quite a bit of a rivalry. Armycore, really top level Oranos player, although pretty good with other gods as well, pretty darn talented, but Oranos was really his best and what he was really known for, you know. And then Magyar, of course, not really known for any god in Pacific, just known as an amazing player. A lot of people say he's the best player ever. Maybe. He's certainly a contender for it. So, very strong players here. And very excited to see what this game holds. Looks like we're going to have Armycore opening up with a good old hunting dog build. So he'll probably be going for a 430. Magyar, of course, has opened up with honey dogs, and he's going for a 4 to hunting, and then he's going to go on to gold, and we'll see from there. Let's see what relic this is. Heroes do more damage to myth units. That's an incredible relic for Armycore to have against Loki, especially considering it's located right next to his base. So Armycore has scouted that, so I'd imagine he'll be getting that very early. We got the Ulfsart coming forward from Magyar. Just going for a straight scout down the middle of the map. Perhaps he's going for a spy. I am a little scared though, just because he's also near being housed, and you never really want to build a forward house against Oranos unless you're going for like a really hard rush, because all it takes is one Promethean offspring and you're in trouble. You just lose the house. So this is quite risky, not really finding anything to spy, and oh my god, he's going to have to build a house right there, and that's not good. Now, I guess Armycore doesn't see it, but if he does see it, that's just a free house for no reason, so I don't like that, unless perhaps he's going to go for a rush, so maybe he will go for a rush. And he'll be going back in trying to find something worth spying, and he will see a villager now, so spy will go down onto gold. That will allow him to go for a gold starve or gold raid later, if the game progresses to that point. And now I'd imagine he'll be heading back home and looking to build his temple, because you want to up around the same period of time as the Atlantis player. You want to be up like at a very similar time, so you have units out as soon as Oranos does. Due to Oranos just building a lot of units very early, you want to have some Herseer or some Herseeran Raiders or something out by the time the Oranos player starts to come with significant units. Alright, we see the temple going down right now. A very defensive temple. It will be protected by 2 towers. So, yeah. Very defensive. So Magyar will not be going for any crazy all-in rush. Although this mine really would be nice for a rush like that. I mean, boy is it vulnerable, but he's just going to play standard and go for the safe game, as opposed to going for the really risky rush, which is probably good considering how strong Armycore's micro is. And we see that Armycore has already set up his base in a pretty cool way. He's created this large wall, which is just going to make it much more difficult for his opponent to raid him. And he can easily transfer units through the manor, which his opponent can't, obviously. So it's accessible to him, but not his opponent, and that's quite clever. It'll make raiding him a real pain. And against Loki, you really expect raids, so nice play. We see Soup is walling up the left to try to just, Magyar is walling up the left to try to just make his base more inaccessible and cut off some paths for those Oranos raids, which will happen. The Oracle back there, he'll have vision of the elephant, so that's irrelevant. Magyar will be protecting his front tower quite nicely. He doesn't want to lose that for no reason. No second temple build, which is interesting. Magyar will not be getting that. he may be getting a barrack soon. He's got 844 going. Armycore opening with just a military barracks, and that's the problem. That house is found, so it will soon go down for nothing. And Magyar will get a singular longhouses. That's all he can afford. And Armycore will now be getting the counter barracks, so he'll be getting a pretty standard cracks racks build coming out. And here we see that his gold is starting to be quite well protected. And it's going to be difficult to raid, so really nice building from Armycore. And definitely something that he was known for as a player. Just the thought he put into placing his buildings and making a defensible base with that. Magyar putting some thought into defending his base too, using all of these walls to make it rather inaccessible. And what's this relic over here? Odin's Wand, Temple Improvements. That would be nice to get, just so he can pay less for Hall of Thanes, of course. Valor going down. And you will get the Hero Citizen, very nice. This Promethean Offspring continuing to just sort of scout. And now Armycore, the other one scouting over here, and now Armycore is getting up a little decent base of military units. But Herseer from Magyar are moving out. He's got 5 of them. And he will be looking for something to just sort of harass. You know, just get a little favor, get that spawn pool up. And he is waiting to get Hall of Thanes right now, I do believe. He doesn't have quite enough yet. He's now moved on to the elephants, which can be seen by Armycore, of course. Raiding here, but it's not going to do too much. Just cause a little idle time. So that's a small victory. It's also causing Armycore to bring all his units back, but Magyar will need to retreat out of here as he cannot fight all of these units. But damaging the watchtower a little bit, that never really hurts. You can sometimes get a spawn too. But the Herseer will get away and live to fight another day, live to be healed up if Magyar does choose to invoke the spring. Building heavily into gold right now, as we see. Relying on having all the food from this. And going for a second wall here, he really wants to keep this hunting protected, so he's not just going to rely on the first wall, he's going to have a second wall, so if Armycore breaks through, he has a little more time to hunt before he has to fight for it, or run away. Smart scout by Armycore down here. He's just going to check to see if Magyar has snuck anything. Good players will do that. They'll just check, make sure that there's no cheesy, cheeky play going on. A lesser player might not think to go check over here in the corner, and sometimes will lose games just due to his opponent hunting all that hunt. I mean, there's like over 1,000 hunt there, easily. All these raiders sort of in the base of Magyar, and he will be forced back from the elephant, so that's sort of unfortunate, but hey, he will be able to return to it eventually. He kept the Odin's Wand Herseer alive, so that's a victory. And he's going to lose this troll, and he could lose wood villagers if he doesn't respond. And he is responding, so he should be okay there. Einherjar over here, just doing some goofy little fights, spawned by these guys. Killing an Oracle. He saved all the wood villas, that's very good. Lucius here in the tower will be enough to defend his base. Still hasn't used Healing Spring, I would like to see him put it down. And these units of Armycore are just going to sort of be forced to run out of here. There aren't enough of them to deal with the Herseer count at this point, as Hall of Thanes is now out. Giving the Loki a huge power spike. I mean, that's really the bread and butter of Loki there, the Hall of Thanes. So, Armycore will now just have to retreat for the time being, and Magyar should really garrison. There we go. And walking right into the enemy army, taking a bunch of free damage. Not really great, but luckily the Herseer are fast enough that you can have a mistake or two like that and not really lose them. So, that little micro mistake wasn't the end of the world. Getting another longhouse, that's good because his economy's continuing to grow, so it doesn't hurt. He's popped though, that's very not good. Armycore moving over to this hunting pile here. Let's check out Armycore's economic upgrades, see what he has. And Armycore has quite a few economic upgrades, so that's quite impressive. Nice raid coming down, and Magyar has good economic upgrades too, although he lacks husbandry, but that's a good raid. Magyar's going to lose a few doors, and perhaps the ox cart. Yep, there goes the ox cart. So, good raid. Causing a lot of disruption, killing some doors in the ox cart, and he's gonna, no he's not gonna try to take out the tower. At the same time, of course, Magyar has been trying to raid Armycore, and has done not all that much, but, has made Armycore respond, of course. And this army is sort of just taking damage for no reason at this point, so Armycore needs to get it out, or in this case he's gonna go for the house and try to pick the house, which is always nice. Magyar's army is now returning to try to defend his home location. And it's noteworthy that Magyar really just doesn't have a big army right now. He has these 11 Hussar and that's it. So Armycore's army is quite a bit bigger, as we see. He's full pop, so in a straight up fight, Magyar will just get absolutely wrecked at this point in the game. Nice block, but unfortunately the other part of the army is there, so it sort of negates the purpose of that block. And Magyar, though, is almost up braggy, so this is why he has been sort of keeping the small army going so he can afford to go heroic. And now his Hussar will get the free heroic upgrade, which will make them decently stronger. Although he still will be quite a bit behind in population, and he is pop-cacked again, so he needs to get some houses out ASAP. It's just a necessity. Losing that tower is what it is. And Armycore looks as though he wants to fight here and just get some value. Force the Loki player to reproduce these expensive Hussars, which will be especially tough now that the Loki is out of hunt. And when Loki runs out of hunt, that's never great. It means that he's just gonna be a little weaker for a little while as he transitions. As we see, there's nowhere really safe to hunt either, so Armycore is trying to be as annoying as possible, but he can't really force any fight there, and he is under town center and tower fire, so he is going to at this point retreat as the Loki army is growing slowly but surely. Promethean Offspring, I guess, just trying to sneak through there to see if it can get a scout off into the enemy base. And he will sneak through, so he's going to get a little bit of intelligence, probably see his opponents back at the gold mine, and gathering wood there. And Armycore's army has been sort of trapped by the army of Magyar, and yes, Magyar is trapping him in there, so he will be forcing this army to eventually fight him, hopefully, if he can catch back up to it. And Armycore is making the most of it. He's just trying to run his army away. He knows these units will probably die, but he's trying to get some value from them in the meantime, and of course if he can pocket them in a corner, that can be quite good considering his ranged units. And I guess he is trying to escape with them, but this is going to be tough because of the way Hussar can just build and counter build. So this army is going to be destroyed, although I'd imagine he's going to try to get it into a corner to do as much damage as possible. And Magyar not really getting in a ton of damage there, but now he should have the army pretty close to trapped, unless yes, so the army is now trapped. Well, killing that low HP Rax and not really doing too much, so I actually really like this from Armycore. He just spent most of the flaming weapons running around, and so in a way he basically denied the flaming weapons. Oh, that's not good. He could continue to escape here. And at the very least, even though he's taken some losses, he certainly has prevented the Loki player from just getting off that devastating, crushing, quick win that the Loki would really like to have. And now this army will be trapped and die, but considering his opponent used flaming weapons, Armycore is made out pretty well, and he will push through, perhaps. So a very few units will escape, so decent considering everything, and he certainly occupied Magyar for a while. The bird is coming in over here, and it will be able to deny this hill fort if Armycore is paying attention. Oh no, he's turning it away. Oh, and here's C right here, so he now will get the hill fort, although it will not be anywhere near as strong as it could be due to the fact that arrows deal tons of damage to units, to buildings that are still under construction. And here we go, sort of the units that escaped. Pretty solid that Armycore managed to escape with units, pretty solid. And now it will finish, although it's taken a lot of damage, and the bird will be forced back, of course. Healing Spring finally going down for Magyar, and I can't help but feel that it would have been nice to have it earlier and just extract a little more value, but he probably had his reasons. Perhaps he didn't want Armycore to potentially gain advantage of it when he had such high unit numbers compared to Magyar's. So the first wall going down here, but of course it's no longer near as crucial now that this hill fort is here protecting the position. And this second town center is up for Magyar now, joining Armycore in the second town center. A little bit of a battle boar attack coming here. Just going to harass citizens. You won't be able to kill any, but that's very annoying. This fight here will not go in Armycore's favor. There's just too many units. And buildings, of course. And so Armycore now has some units back to repel these battle boars. A hero and 2 birds, so these boars will have to run out of there immediately, as they just cannot deal with that army. Fighting going on here. The Mamillo turning and fighting a little bit, but then of course retreating. And this is nice. Some nice raining by Stilmathian birds. Picking up a free dwarf and an ox cart. He just needs to pull them back before they take too much damage, but very nice. If he goes here, that will really hurt. If he decides to check that position again. Market coming down from Magyar, so he's going to trade, and then he will be up immediately. And what will he be choosing? He'll be choosing Hell. So this is going to be an 18-minute, 17:30 or so Hell. So not all that early, but you know, it's still Hell, and he does have some favor banked. So if he sort of marshals his resources correctly, he should be able to get out at least 1 extra fire giant immediately. And the fire giant is very, very strong against the Stilmathian bird. It's pretty much a hard counter, so quite a good unit against Oranos in general. Although Armycore very much known for his hero micro as well, so if there's one player I would bet on to use the Oranos army effectively against fire giants, it would be Armycore. But of course then we're talking about Magyar too, so at this point it's really impossible to say which way this game will go, although Armycore does have a small score lead. And we see that the old speed battle boys with their full speed of 5.3 unupgraded are now being chased around by Armycore, and that's a nice shockwave. Good value. And just sort of disrupted what his opponent was going for. So he's gotten in quite a bit of damage on those boars with that, killing one, almost killing a second. It's good value because, you know, of course the shockwave doesn't affect the Herseer, so catching a bunch of Myth units like that and getting in some damage is good. Now we have Hell coming through, so good old Nidhogg will be available. And Nidhogg is pretty strong against Oranos, although Armycore does have good units now to kill it with the Arcus and also the Stilmathian birds doing some damage. And there we see Nidhogg just flash down over here. And Nidhogg will flash down in response to the Targaryen gate. That was pretty impressive, seeing him as he came down like that. Really cool animation there. We weren't quite on top of it, so we got to see him fly right in. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Armycore just going balls to the wall with his whole army, going all in on this Loki player and just trying to do as much damage as possible, targeting the fire giant. He doesn't want any fire giants to be in the game, although more fire giants are being created at the temple as we speak. And here we go. It does appear as though Armycore is being forced out despite having a ton of Stilmathian birds and a good ground presence with Milla, but there's just too many Myth units in Hussir here. And we see that Magyar has a lot of favor now in gold, so he will be able to build large numbers of fire giants, which are going to be a really scary threat in this game. And you could even potentially go for Granite Blood or Rampage to improve HP and training speed respectively, and it's quite significant. With Granite Blood, fire giants get another 200 HP, so that's a 33% gain from the tech, and it also affects the HP of all the other giants that you might spawn from Hussir too. So the mountain giant gets stupidly big, for example. A nice Loki trick is to do a side build with a temple and just put a couple mountain giants with Granite Blood out. Pretty much allows you to take down the town center. It's a very niche play, of course, but it can really surprise people if you've never tried it. Give it a try some game. And with Rampage 2, of course, they can come out in seconds. So Loki giant play late game can be very, very scary. If the Loki player has really good control over his economy, over his population, his production, and his units, of course, being number one. Ooh, that's not good. Oh, that hurts. The Lampade is chaosing the fire giant. So that's brutal. Nice micro from Armycore. He did lose the Lampades, but it's a very worthwhile trade. However, now as we see, unfortunately, the army of the fire giant is fighting versus Armycore, but he can just gangbuster it and wipe it out. And this hill fort is probably not going to get up. Yep, this hill fort will not be getting up. So close. So very close. And Magyar really tried there. A few raiders coming around, just trying to disrupt, and the Nidhogg is barely alive, and it's going to go for one last hurrah onto the gold here, extracting the last bit of value. But Armycore's main army is just pushing and banging down Magyar's front door. So it's really nice examples of Armycore just taking trade after trade, and not necessarily winning every single fight, but just getting good value out of the fights and making the Loki player exhaust his store of expensive but hard to reproduce units. Whereas Armycore just builds a lot of these cheap units and controls them very well. So at this point, this is actually looking tough for Magyar. The score lead is really, really widening, and all the fights are continually occurring on his home turf at this point, and he doesn't have the population to be able to stay in the game. And I guess the core of it is that his production buildings, he just doesn't have all that many right now, and strangely enough, he doesn't seem to be building anything. I guess at some point he just got overwhelmed, and that was pretty much it. If he did have a few more production buildings, he could easily be coming back, but it also may be that Magyar may just be recognizing that this game is over and is sort of mentally quitting the game. Because, I mean, at this point, how's he going to win? There's just so many units of the Oranos player flooding into his base. 160 population of Oranos units. I mean, he keeps getting nice fights and getting good trades, but it doesn't really matter when there's just so many units coming after you. So, there we go. GG. Hope you enjoyed it. And, well, let's see what the KDR is. So there we see Magyar with a much better KDR, but, of course, Armycore just dominating in unit number. So it didn't matter that he wasn't trading as efficiently, because he just managed to just produce so many units that his trades did more damage even if it wasn't efficient. And we see that Armycore also invested quite heavily into Stomathian Bird and micro them quite well to achieve his objectives against the Fire Giants. So very nice, good game. I hope you all enjoyed that.